Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. We're less than a week away from the NFL trade deadline. And if you've followed this league for even a minute, you know exactly what that means. Chaos, speculation, and a wild mix of fantasy and reality colliding all over social media and sports talk shows. Every insider's got a scoop. Every fan base is dreaming up hypothetical trades that sound like something straight out of Madden franchise mode. And every analyst is tossing out at least one idea that makes everyone collectively go, "Wait, what?" And this week, ESPN's Seth Walder delivered exactly that kind of jaw-dropper. In a piece examining potential trade targets for each NFL team, Walder tossed out a scenario that nobody, absolutely nobody, saw coming. The Las Vegas Raiders trading for Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, you heard that right. Not Davante Adams getting moved. Not a splashy defensive piece for the Raiders. No, Walder's bold idea was to have the Raiders acquire Tua, and not because they think he's the missing piece for a playoff run, but as part of a salary dump deal that would mirror one of the strangest trades in modern NFL history. To understand this, you've got to go back a few years to one of the weirdest moves the league has ever seen. The Brock Osweiler trade. Picture this. The Houston Texans had massively overpaid Osweiler, realized almost immediately that they'd made a colossal mistake, and then essentially bribed the Cleveland Browns to take him off their hands. The Texans sent Osweiler, a second-round pick, and a sixth-round pick to the Browns, and in return got back a fourth-rounder. The Browns never intended for Osweiler to actually play. They just wanted the extra draft capital and were willing to eat his salary to get it. It was a pure financial maneuver, something you almost never see in the NFL, a league built on salary cap, discipline, and complex contract gymnastics. And somehow, Walder thinks that's what the Dolphins should do with Tua. According to his proposal, Miami would send Tua to the Raiders along with a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick. Yes, two valuable day 2 selections, in exchange for a measly 2027 fifth-rounder. The Raiders, flush with future cap space to the tune of $103 million in 2026 and $174 million in 2027, would take on Tua's contract, which is around $70 million guaranteed through 2026. The idea is that Las Vegas wouldn't even need to play him. They'd just hold on to the deal as a cap management tool. It's like the Osweiler deal on steroids. A team using its financial flexibility to absorb a quarterback contract that another team can't afford to carry anymore. But here's where the logic starts to crumble. Unlike Osweiler, Tua Tagovailoa isn't some washed-out backup trying to hang on to a roster spot. He's a legitimate starting quarterback who has led Miami to back-to-back playoff appearances. Sure, he's had ups and downs. Who hasn't? But when he's on, he's one of the most accurate passers in the league. His timing, his rhythm with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and his command of Mike McDaniel's offense have all been critical to the Dolphins' success over the last 2 years. Yes, he struggled badly against the Cleveland Browns earlier this season, a game that had people questioning his ability to perform under pressure, but he bounced back in vintage fashion the very next week, dissecting the Atlanta Falcons with surgical precision. That's been Tua's story in Miami, a series of tests, recoveries, and reminders that, love him or hate him, he's a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. So why in the world would Miami ship him off and throw in draft picks, no less, just to clear some cap space? Walder's argument centers on the long-term financial outlook. The Dolphins' books are tight, with several big-money deals on their roster and an eye-popping $54 million cap hit for Tua in 2026. It's not an easy pill to swallow. If Miami feels like its current core can't get over the hump, then yes, maybe a reset makes sense at some point. But giving away premium picks just to escape a contract that still belongs to a quarterback who can win games? That's not a reset. That's a fire sale. That's waving the white flag and admitting that you're not even trying to compete in the short term. And let's be real here. Mike McDaniel, who's already coaching with his job on the line this season, isn't signing off on that. The Dolphins are 4-4, fighting to stay alive in the AFC playoff picture, and McDaniel's future probably depends on how the team finishes this year. There's no way he's telling the front office, "Yeah, let's trade my starting quarterback and 2 draft picks for a fifth-rounder while I'm trying to save my job." Coaches coach to win games, not to manage salary caps. Even if Miami's front office is thinking about the future, it's impossible to imagine this move happening mid-season while the team is still mathematically in the hunt. What's fascinating, though, is that this idea isn't totally out of the blue. Just a couple of weeks ago, a similar concept was floated by an anonymous NFL executive in The Athletic. The notion was that if Miami's season continued to spiral and the organization wanted to get out ahead of its financial crunch, it could consider moving on from Tua after 2025. But even then, that was framed as a potential off-season move, something to evaluate once the year was over, when emotions had cooled and the full picture of the team's direction was clearer. Doing it at the trade deadline? That's a fantasy football move, not an NFL one. And yet, the fact that this conversation even exists tells you something about how volatile Tua's standing still is. Despite his success, despite the playoff appearances, despite the moments of brilliance, there's always this undercurrent of doubt surrounding him. Some of it comes from the concussions and durability concerns. Some of it comes from the lingering sense that Miami's offensive success is more about McDaniel's system and the track-star speed of his receivers than about Tua's raw talent. And some of it, frankly, comes from the modern NFL reality where quarterbacks are judged not just on how many games they win, but on whether they can carry a team through January against the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. Still, even if you're a Tua skeptic, this proposal doesn't pass the smell test. If you're Miami, you'd have to be absolutely desperate. I mean, franchise in shambles desperate, to give up assets just to move a player who's not only starting for you, but performing at a respectable level. If anything, Miami's path to a reset would involve trading other veterans, restructuring contracts, or even fielding offers for Tua that bring back meaningful value, not throwing him in as a salary burden. From the Raiders' perspective, sure, it makes sense. They've got cap space, they've got an uncertain quarterback situation, and they're in the middle of another identity crisis after moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo and trying to figure out what they've got in Aiden O'Connell. Taking on Tua's contract for a couple of years while pocketing a couple of future second-rounders? That's highway robbery. It's the kind of deal that sets up your rebuild beautifully, letting you spend those picks however you want while keeping flexibility at quarterback. So yeah, from the Raiders' angle, this would be a dream scenario. But that's exactly why it feels so unrealistic from Miami's side. Trades in the NFL usually make sense for both parties, not just one. At the end of the day, Walder's suggestion is what it was meant to be, a thought experiment. A what if, to stir up conversation, to get the comment sections buzzing, and to make fans debate the future of one of the league's most polarizing quarterbacks. And on that front, mission accomplished. Because whether you think Tua's the long-term answer in Miami or not, this proposal forces you to ask a deeper question. What's the price of stability in the NFL? How far will teams go to balance the books, even at the expense of proven talent? For the Dolphins, this is about more than cap numbers. It's about identity. It's about a franchise that spent years searching for a quarterback post-Dan Marino finally finding one who can win games, and now facing the temptation to start over because of financial math. And that's the thing about the modern NFL. The balance between winning now and planning for the future has never been trickier. You've got to spend to compete, but spend too much on the wrong players and you're suddenly handcuffed. That's the tightrope Miami's walking right now. So no, this trade isn't happening. Not next week, not this season, and probably not ever. But it's the kind of wild idea that makes the NFL trade deadline what it is. Unpredictable, dramatic, and endlessly entertaining. Because at the end of the day, every crazy suggestion, every what if, every hypothetical like this one reminds us why we love this league so much. It's not just about the games on Sunday. It's about the stories, the rumors, and the endless possibilities that keep us talking long after the final whistle blows. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Rumors have been swirling in the NFL world, and if you're a Dolphins fan, you might want to sit down for this one. Word on the street is that Jalen Waddle, the speedster who's lit up defenses since being drafted by Miami, could be on his way out of South Florida. Now, let's be clear, nothing is confirmed yet, and as with all things in the NFL, it could blow over in a matter of days. But the chatter is loud, and insiders suggest that the Dolphins might be seriously considering a move that would send shockwaves through the AFC. Waddle, who has been a cornerstone of Miami's offense since he came out of Alabama, has become more than just a receiver. He's a deep threat, a game changer, and arguably one of the most explosive playmakers in the league today. But, as the rumor mill is spinning, there are whispers that contract talks, cap space, and long-term strategy might not align with keeping him in Miami for the duration that fans had hoped. Sources close to the Dolphins organization have reportedly hinted at growing frustration from the front office regarding Waddle's contract demands, which, according to these insiders, are steep but not surprising given his impact on the field. The team has been trying to balance a roster that's hungry for sustained success while also managing the salary cap in a market that's increasingly competitive. It's no secret that Miami has invested heavily in building a superstar-laden roster around Tua Tagovailoa. And while Waddle has been an essential piece, some executives are reportedly evaluating whether that investment could be leveraged differently. Imagine, just for a moment, the strategic calculus. Waddle's elite speed and route running could bring in significant draft capital or open the door for a younger, more cost-controlled talent to step into the spotlight. It's the kind of hard-nosed decision that franchises make in secret, long before fans even hear a hint of it. Meanwhile, the player himself is reportedly focused on maximizing his value. Waddle has already proven he can dominate in Miami's system, posting eye-popping stats and consistently being a matchup nightmare for defenders across the league. But there's a sense that he might be ready for a bigger payday or a change of scenery if it means playing in a more high-profile market or joining a team with a more established quarterback situation. Rumors suggest that agents around the league have quietly started gauging interest, calling teams to feel out potential fits. It's the classic NFL dance: player, agent, and front office, each trying to figure out the optimal scenario, and all the while the rumor mill churns with wild speculation. Some of these whispers hint at possible trade packages, while others suggest Waddle could even test free agency, leaving the Dolphins to navigate one of the trickiest scenarios in recent memory. From the fan perspective, this is the kind of news that causes social media to explode. Dolphins supporters, known for their passion and sometimes mercurial reactions, have already started debating the merits of keeping Waddle versus the potential windfall of a blockbuster trade. Imagine the Twitter threads, the YouTube reaction videos, the endless cycle of he stays versus he goes content flooding feeds for days. Analysts are weighing in too, with some suggesting that Miami could use Waddle's departure as leverage to rebuild certain offensive areas or shore up defensive weaknesses. Others, however, are questioning whether letting go of one of the fastest and most dynamic receivers in the league could set the franchise back years. It's a delicate balance, and the Dolphins are reportedly aware that any decision will be scrutinized under a microscope. Even within the locker room, sources claim there's a buzz. Teammates are aware that Waddle's name is floating around trade discussions, and while everyone is keeping it professional, the reality is that his potential departure could shift dynamics. Leaders in the locker room might have to step up to keep morale intact, and coaches are likely already thinking about how to adjust the playbook if Waddle were to leave. Imagine the scenario: a top-tier slot receiver gone, a team forced to reimagine its passing game, and opponents suddenly recalculating defensive schemes. It's the kind of ripple effect that could define Miami's next season before it even begins. And as we all know, the NFL doesn't wait for comfort. It moves fast, and franchises have to act decisively to maintain their competitive edge. Speculation about Waddle's destination has been particularly juicy. Some insiders hint at teams with cap flexibility and a need for a true deep threat, those looking to stretch defenses and provide instant chemistry with their quarterback. Others suggest teams with young, ascending signal callers who could use a dynamic weapon to accelerate development. While no concrete trade discussions have been confirmed, the rumors paint a picture of a potential bidding war, with Miami in a position to extract significant value. Draft picks, young talent, or a combination of both could be part of the package, giving the Dolphins a chance to restock for the future while still maintaining a competitive roster. And if Waddle hits free agency, well, that's an entirely different scenario with maximum market exposure, which could drive up both his price and the intrigue around his next move. Financial considerations reportedly play a massive role in this speculation. Miami's cap situation is complicated, with multiple stars demanding big contracts and the need to build depth across the roster. Waddle, with his elite status, is naturally at the top of the conversation when it comes to negotiating dollars. The rumor mill suggests that if Miami cannot meet his contract expectations, the team might pivot toward trading him, thereby converting potential financial headaches into assets that can help secure the team's long-term goals. Of course, this is all speculative, but sources close to league executives say these kinds of internal discussions are exactly what teams do when a player of Waddle's caliber is involved. No team wants to lose a star without some return, and the Dolphins are reportedly determined to avoid a situation where they simply let talent walk away for nothing. Adding fuel to the fire, social media insiders have been dissecting Waddle's recent public appearances, cryptic posts, and even subtle comments during interviews. While nothing concrete has emerged, fans are reading between the lines, interpreting smiles, pauses, and phrasing as potential signals about his future. The speculation is reminiscent of other high-profile NFL situations where every tweet, every Instagram story, and every casual remark becomes a piece of the puzzle. It's the kind of environment where rumors thrive, where the line between fact and conjecture blurs, and where the excitement, or anxiety, among fans reaches a fever pitch. And if Waddle were to leave, it wouldn't just be a loss of talent. It would be the beginning of a major narrative shift in the Dolphins franchise story. Ultimately, whether Waddle stays or goes remains unconfirmed, but the buzz around Miami and the NFL at large is palpable. Analysts, fans, and insiders alike are weighing every angle, from on-field performance and leadership qualities to financial logistics and team chemistry. The speculation has created a perfect storm where every rumor is amplified, every hint dissected, and every potential scenario debated endlessly. If the Dolphins do make a move, it could mark one of the biggest shifts in the team's offensive identity in years, and if Waddle departs, it will be a moment that fans, commentators, and rival franchises remember for a long time. For now, all we can do is watch, wait, and absorb every snippet of information as it trickles out of Miami, knowing that the NFL is nothing if not unpredictable, and in a league defined by stars, Jalen Waddle's next move could change everything. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.